India's position on the veto remains consistent and clear. All 5 permanent members have used the veto to achieve their respective political ends. The veto as a matter of principle should be abolished. Lastly, the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh were, are, and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. Mr. President, we meet today to acknowledge that a year has passed since the adoption of the veto initiative by this August Assembly. India's position on the veto remains consistent and clear. As we are all aware, back in the year 2008, the UN General Assembly, vide its decision number 62/557, considered that all 5 aspects of UN Security Council reform, including on the question of the veto, would be decided in a comprehensive manner, and therefore no single cluster could be addressed in isolation. The veto resolution last year, though adopted by consensus, unfortunately reflected a piecemeal approach to UNSC reforms, highlighting one aspect while ignoring the root cause of the problem. Regarding the substantive aspects of the exercise of the veto in the Security Council, my delegation has the following 4 observations. 1. Over the past 75 years, all 5 permanent members have used the veto to achieve their respective political ends. In this regard, let me flag what our African brothers and sisters have repeatedly stated in the intergovernmental negotiations on Security Council reform, and I quote, "The veto as a matter of principle should be abolished. However, as a matter of common justice, it should be extended to new permanent members so long as it continues to exist." Unquote. Observation 2. This privilege of using the veto has been vested to only 5 members. As rightly called out by our African brothers and sisters, this goes against the very concept of sovereign equality of states and only perpetuates the mindset of the Second World War. To the victor belong the spoils. Observation 3. Either all nations are treated equally in context of voting rights, or else the new permanent members must also be given the veto. Extension of veto to new members, in our view, will have no adverse impact on the effectiveness of an enlarged council. And observation 4. The exercise of veto is driven by political considerations and not by moral obligations. As long as it exists, the member state or member states who can exercise the veto will do so, irrespective of the moral pressure, as we have seen in the recent past. Therefore, we need to address all 5 aspects of UNSC reforms, including the question of the veto, in a comprehensive manner, through clearly defined timelines in the IGN process. India remains steadfast in our commitment to support any initiative that genuinely furthers the objective of achieving meaningful and comprehensive reform of the key elements of the global multilateral architecture. Lastly, the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh were, are, and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. No amount of misinformation, rhetoric, or propaganda from any country can change that fact.